Hello, everyone. Angie here. Julie and
Hello, Julie
Natalie.
here.
Natalie, hi. Episode 7. Welcome. We're on episode 7. It's kind of hard to believe, guys, that it's like we're at episode 7. I
Flying
remember
by.
I remember when we were just having talks about like doing this like new format, right? But yeah, episode 7 today. So we're going to be talking about Mama Bear. And this is like a statement that a lot of people know, right? Mama Bear comes out, right? But let's talk about Mama Bear, and does this mentality actually serve us, or could it hurt us as well? And that's what we're going to explore in today's episode. So I'm Angie, creator of this channel, Journey to Soul, and the business Journey to Soul. And I am a mom of a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old. I serve, I help women to step into their greatness, to create the life that they want to create. I am really passionate about conscious conversation. And this is conscious conversation I've really discovered lately is the basis of everything I do. It's the basis of how I live my life and my family. It's the basis of how, and it wasn't always this way, right? It's taken a lot of courage to bring conscious conversation to every arena of my life. And so, I've realized that that's literally what has been the driving force, and bringing women together to have conscious conversation. Because I'm not just having conscious conversation with me. I'm having it with other souls, other like-minded souls. And so that's why I love these episodes. I love doing these conversations because we all activate each other. We all learn from one another. We keep us on our path too. It reminds us. We reflect back what we've learned. And that's what I love about this. So I'm excited for tonight. I'm excited for every night, really. So Natalie, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi guys. My name is Natalie. Like Angie, I'm a mom. I have an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old, and awakening has been such an important part of my life, and it's such a fun part of my life too. And that's really what I bring to the table is keeping it simple and keeping it fun. So I'm working on a book right now. It's called 21 Days to the New Earth, and I just share like really simple tools that have worked for me, that have worked for Angie and Julie here. A lot of things that we just talk about here, right? Like a lot of like common sense things and easy things that you can just bring into your day. And I love these conversations too because I mean we talk about real life stuff, right? Like we're not talking about like shipping your family to Tibet and living as a monk. Like you can wake up right now, right? Going to Dairy Queen, like that can be an awakening experience if you want. So,
Yeah.
anyways, that's me.
I love it. Thank you, Julie.
Hello, everybody. I'm Julie, and I'm also a mother of an 11 and 12, almost 13-year-old, almost a teenager. um, and yeah, I feel like I have been on this conscious journey from the time I was born. I've kind of rocked the boat with my thinking, and I didn't just take everything at face value or because everyone else believed something, I would believe it too. And that proved to be a challenge in my life. I was often told, just do it the way everybody else does it, or just, and life will be easy. And I did try that because I thought, okay, good suggestion, I'll try. And it was not easy because my soul and my heart were telling me something different. So this journey has been a lifelong journey for me, and I've more consciously started choosing these conscious conversations with everyone in my life, probably for about 20 years now. Um, and I absolutely adore these conversations too. I love being a parent. I also have always wanted to be a parent. So it feels just wonderful to be here and have these conversations with you lovely ladies.
Thank you. So Natalie, we'll let you start on this. This was a topic that you brought, and I love it because it's true. These are the questions we have to ask, right? Like,
Yeah.
of not taking everything at face value. We've adopted a lot of things, especially as parents, as moms. We've adopted just a lot of things and sayings and beliefs and thoughts. And do they hurt us? They might.
Yeah. I mean, especially this one, Mama Bear. I mean, this is it's kind of like the training ground for moms lately. Like the last, I don't know, maybe 20 years, you'd say this has been like a pretty consistent mentality or saying. I mean, they have t-shirts with the Mama Bear, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what the intention behind it was, right? But maybe that's something we can also discuss. But I know it's, a lot of people will be like, oh, but, don't make such a big deal out of it. Like, it's just supposed to be cute. Like, oh, you're a mama bear, right? You're there protecting your cubs. But I mean, I know this is going to be a controversial topic, which is good. So, like, share your thoughts with us, guys, in the comments, okay? Because to me, this mama bear mentality was made to protect our kids. As moms, you want to protect your kids, right? But by believing we need to protect them, are we inadvertently and unconsciously creating more things that they will need to be protected from? Right.
That's a really good point
I
because
love that
that's
you're
how we
bringing that
create.
up.
And
And
it's okay. Well, someone else is dropping in. Sorry to interrupt. And I mean, this mentality has been around for probably as long as you turn it, like, as long as there's been humans, this mentality has been there. But it's like that victimhood mentality that, like, I need to protect myself from, that other tribe or, the saber-toothed tiger or whatever. So it's just changed the wording of, mama bear. Like, we have to protect our kids. Like, look at all the horrible things out in the world. And well, the more you look at it, the more you're actually manifesting it in your life, whether or not you think you are or not, because you're manifesting everything in your life, whether or not you're aware of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
absolutely, I love that you bring this up. I just read something or watched something the other day about um, parents unconsciously telling their children that it's an unsafe world when they're going out to play and we're saying, be safe. What do we tell them? There's a lot of danger out there. You need to be safe. And that's something I say to my kids all the time. I always say, have fun and be safe, you know? And so I've started to change that because I don't want them to be focused on, what's scary in the world. You're right. We're manifesting, we're creating our life moment to moment. And the more we focus on the unsafe, the more we're going to create it in our life. We're going to attract it to us. So, yeah, the whole mama bear mentality and feeling like we need to protect our children so much can definitely become detrimental to
And
all of us.
Mama Bear makes me think of, we look to nature, right? And it's so if I think about Mama Bear in nature, Mama Bear is like will kill you if you go near her cubs. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? Is this really the like I don't think that role serves. I don't think that role serves that because it's subjective for one, like what a person does, right? Where what kind of interaction your child has with a person out there in conflict or whatever, right? And if I'm jumping for their throats, is that serving my child? Is that serving the person that is, you know what I mean? Bringing harm, bringing conflict, bringing whatever. It's not serving anyone, right? And Mama Bear, like, oh, what was it I was thinking? Anyway, I was just thinking about that aggressiveness of like, that's what I thought of when you brought Mama Bear. I thought of this aggressive kind of, you know, role that
Behavior.
we're being programmed. And this is why I think it's so important to ask these questions and to have these conversations because we need to start looking at, is this a program? What was the intention of this? Because we're learning as we awaken that a lot of things were intended, to disempower us as humans, as moms.
Right. And this is really making me think that we're robbing our children of conflict management,
Yes.
learning how to stand their own ground, set their own healthy boundaries. Um, and we can be there as a loving guide and not take over that role. as like a soft spot for them to fall to come to talk to without stepping in and not allowing them to have those experiences. And even when I think of Mama Bear, I watched a documentary, and has this label been given to bears falsely
Unfairly,
as well?
unfairly, yes.
Yeah, unfairly, because I have watched a documentary where a man collars bears. Only the females can be collared, the males' necks are too big. And he got close to a mother and her babies without being harmed, without tranquilizing them. He's someone who does it without tranquilizing them. And he was able to get close and build their trust. But I guess typically, for me, I always say when it comes to animals, other beings, if we're not scaring them or hurting them, they're not going to want to hurt us. They don't want
Right.
conflict as much as we don't want conflict. But I think most people become scared and then do things that create the conflict, right?
Yeah,
So yeah,
because
that's
that's
been,
part of the programming. That's part of the
yes.
programming too, is teaching us to fear. I have had this conversation around mice. We've been taught to fear mice and they're disease ridden. And I question that. I question just how true that is.
Right. So it's funny, these programs, even the labels can be false. Everything, like there's so many layers behind it. Is this mama bear really going to attack you? But that's what we think of. Um, I just think of my children on the playground, for example. If someone comes up to them, do I really, and is having an altercation, do I want to be that mama bear and step in and rob them from that experience? We learn so much in these conflicted times, right? We learn from great times too, but
That's where our growth is.
exactly. So, and when I was thinking about this previously as well, I mean, there's so many sides to everything as well. I mean, I'm sure there are some benefits at times to being a mama bear. Where does that come in? Do we just look at the negative side, or is there a positive side? Is there somewhere in between? There's so
It's
much.
Mama Bear, Mama Earth. If I think of Mama Earth,
Mm.
connecting to Earth, she's nurturing, she's nourishing, she's comforting. She provides you with security and safety and belonging.
Oh, I'm just getting so many chills and my eyes are watering up here because Mama Bear actually comes to me in meditation as one of my guides. And oh my gosh, it's just she's coming to me now, but she's just so loving and
Mm-hmm.
cuddly, and like I've just sat and in her arms and just felt like the warmth and the comfort and the nurturing. And I've sat there and I've just felt her claws as well, and like paws and everything, and it's just so comforting and loving. So I mean there's
So we can rewrite it. We can rewrite
yeah.
it. That is
Ah,
Mama Bear.
Oh, those claws, I can feel them, like, and the paws, like, and they're not harmful. It's not an aggression. It's just so beautiful.
It's a deep program that we're separate from the animals.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
mhm.
Oh, it feels so nice to be remembering that right now. Like I've sat there so many times with Mama Bear, and I can't believe that didn't even come
Occur to
across my
you.
brain when I knew we were talking about this until right now. I just felt her come in, like, yeah, remember all the good parts too?
Remember
you know?
this?
Yeah.
Ah,
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
yeah. Thanks for sharing, Julie. I felt her presence
I
too,
felt
so thank
that
you for
too.
sharing that.
You're welcome.
And I think it's so
Yes, I mean
important.
we. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, like Julie brings up an excellent point. We can rewrite whatever we want,
Yeah.
right? We could rewrite the meaning of Mama Bear right here
Right now.
together with all of us watching live, right?
Yep. And you all can
We can do
agree
that.
with
That's our
us.
power. That's our power, right? Sometimes you have to don't look at the stuff that you don't like. focus on what you'd rather it look like, right? Maybe
right? Like,
again, that more positive definition of mama bear, providing comfort, providing food, providing, like a home for our kids
and
and our family,
play.
right? Our loved ones.
And I see, like, what I keep seeing is, Mama Bear letting her cubs play and
Yes.
wander and climb and do all these things. And I see, the cubs falling, and she's okay with that. She's like, that's part of life, and that's okay. And I think the negative connotation really comes with the human bear interaction. And we've been trained so much, programmed so much to fear
Yes.
anything that is not like us.
It
You
makes
know?
me think of that Sea Beast movie.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
they've just been told that the sea beast is their enemy, and
Mm-hmm.
their ancestors before them killed them, and their ancestors before them were attacked, and you know what I mean. So if you don't follow this, then you do you know what I mean. So bears are just hungry. They have their, you know what I mean. Like bears are a natural force in this world, just like humans are. We're all natural forces in this world, and we have our way of, life. And I mean, you can go back to the biblical times where it talks about, there was a time when animals and humans lived in harmony on earth, and we'll return to that. And I,
Yeah.
I go back to that and I think about that, and I think, and I've had conversations with Kyle about it, and he's like, well, that's impossible, that's impossible. I'm like, but is it?
Oh, it's so possible. It's so
It
possible.
is, yeah. And that's part of this awakening experience, right?
Yes.
How do we want to live? How do we want to live on this beautiful planet, and so that everyone's served, right? From
Yes.
like, you know, spiders and hummingbirds to, the trees and like the mama bears. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just have to make that our priority. That's all it is.
This earth is a living library, and we get to choose how we define it. Like you were saying earlier, we can define Mama Bear as this scary, mean, whatever, or we can define it as a beautiful, nurturing, expansive, loving experience. And we can learn from both, right?
Yes, none of them's right. No one is
Right,
right or wrong.
Yes.
exactly. It just is. It's neutral, and we learn, and then we get to go inside and discern and choose for ourselves what we want to keep and what we want to throw away. So there's no right or wrong.
Yeah, we're choosing our experiences. We came here in the polarity. So everything has a polarity. So Mama Bear can be ferocious and vicious. Yes, right? A human can be ferocious and vicious. But also, Mama Bear can be super loving and nurturing, right? And so can the human. And
And
like none of
playful.
it's wrong, and playful and super playful. Yeah. And like we're meant to feel the experience the whole range, right? The whole range. And we get to choose what that looks like. We get to choose what we want to learn. And everybody has a different soul's path. Everybody has different soul lessons to learn, right? And we've forgotten coming to the earth. And so we've forgotten what it is. So what we have to do is what Julie said, was go inside and discern. How do I want to experience Mama Bear?
And I just have to say, that ferocious mama bear can definitely be needed at times.
Yeah.
If I see someone attacking my child, I'm not going to stand by and say, oh, well, this is a good experience for them to, to handle right now. I'm going to step in as that mama bear. But I get to choose in each situation what feels most aligned with my heart and my soul, not only for myself, but for my children, because sometimes we do just want to step in and save them from the world. But is that helpful? Like this whole topic is about, is that helpful?
That's
Yeah,
where
is
we
that
have to be
helpful
clear.
in that moment,
In that
right?
moment,
Yes.
exactly.
And it
In that
requires
moment.
consciousness. It requires consciousness to discern that in that moment, if it's
Yes.
serving or not. So, I love the question that you brought, Natalie, was, does this mentality serve us or hurt us? I think that changes moment to moment, whether it serves us
Yeah.
or hurts us.
And how we're labeling it in the
Yeah.
moment,
And
right?
even understanding it is just a label. It's just a label. And as humans, we have to put labels on things to help us understand things, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so we just want, being conscious is not being attached to those labels.
Mm.
Being conscious is understanding and holding that awareness that it's just a label to help us describe something, to label, understand something, but we get to shift its definition anytime.
Yeah.
We have the power. We are the creators in each moment.
Yeah.
And like we've talked about, we can choose one thing over and over and over again and then suddenly be like, "Wait, I don't choose this anymore. I choose
Yeah,
something new."
it's changed because
Right?
everything has changed. We're always receiving new information every moment, every second we're receiving information. Every second. In fact, we're receiving 2.1 million bits of information per second through all our senses. And we can only process seven plus or minus two. Like, that's all we can process per second. So we're always receiving information. And so it can always change because every moment we're receiving new information.
So I have a question. Have you ladies considered yourselves mama bears before? And if so, what did that mean to you?
Mm. I definitely did, and it was in the sense of needing to protect my kids um from being bullied, right? Or being harmed. Yeah. You just want to protect them, right? Like, and I don't know, like, is this a cultural belief, or is this, and I think, or is it also ingrained in just being a woman, being a mom, right? Being a mom, however brought this child into your life, you brought them into your life situation. That makes you, I mean, you're attached to them, right?
Yeah. They're your greatest creation.
You
Yeah.
know, when you said that, I hadn't really, even when I asked that question, I hadn't really thought of it of myself yet. But as you said that, I was like, oh my goodness, I can imagine I was viewed as the mama bear at my children's school when I was there constantly trying to create safe changes. In the school, there was so many unsafe things happening, and I was having meetings constantly before I chose to homeschool because I couldn't change the system. I couldn't change the school. There was some small changes that happened. I hadn't considered myself a mama bear at the time, but I can only imagine. Like, I remember thinking they were probably like, "Oh gosh, what's
Here
she
comes
coming
Julie.
for now?" Well, so um, yeah, and that got me thinking. There's also when it comes to ages and stages, right? There's more protection is needed when you have a newborn baby. There's definitely a need to protect that baby a lot more than even the toddler, the child, the teenager. There's stages of releasing that mama bear protection as well. So after 3 years of homeschooling, sending my children back to school, I have not been involved at all, really. I realized after the parent teacher night, which wasn't, it was an open house, it wasn't a parent teacher night. I didn't even ask Grayson's teacher how he was doing.
What a difference, eh? What a difference.
But I knew he was doing well enough from his report cards and whatever, but I was like, wow, I didn't even ask her. Like, that's pretty
Like, it
silly.
didn't even occur. Didn't even occur to me. I love
How
that. I love
strange.
that. What a
Yeah.
difference. Your question makes me okay. So if I think about when I had Alice and Mama Bear, definitely like the first thought for me of Mama Bear is that ferocious, fierce protector. That was
Mm-hmm.
what came through. And it's interesting because I haven't related with Mama Bear necessarily, but when I think about having Alice brought me into my breakdown. It brought me it brought up all my childhood stuff. And I was obsessed when Alice was born, that I couldn't keep her safe. I was obsessed with keeping her safe, but it was unhealthy. It wasn't serving me. I was super, and I thought I was a failure of a mom because I thought I couldn't keep her safe. And that's what actually, it's that thought that led me into my breakdown, because I thought, what have I done? I was so excited to have a child. I was so excited to become a mom, and all of a sudden something switched, and I was like, oh my god, what was I thinking? I can't keep a child safe. I can't be a mama bear. Like, do you know what I mean? So I feel like I felt like a failure in that sense of I couldn't keep my baby safe. And this is where I look at this as programming, um, and how it can harm people, these programs. Do you know what I mean? Of this expectation that I need to be a mama bear, I need to be
Mm,
ferocious. I didn't, but that's what I thought I needed to be. And I thought I couldn't do that. And
right.
so what it is now I know in hindsight, my soul and heart were calling for something different. It was calling for softening. It wasn't calling for ferociousness. It was, you know what I mean? And now I know that's what serves, and that I'm in alignment with that now. So it's really interesting. And I do love that, it came up about mama bear is also nourishing and loving, and that I resonate with.
Yeah,
Is fun, is playful, is, connected.
that's how I really think of Mama Bear. And like I said, because of my meditations, because of Mama Bear being one of my guides, it's always been so loving and nurturing and wonderful. But I knew what you meant through the programming right away when you said Mama Bear. It's that stay away from my children, and I'll do anything to protect them. Um, yeah, and I definitely had similar experience with my children, but it was when they were going to school because now they weren't with me all the time. So I thought I can't protect them. Like they're under somebody else's care. I don't know what's going on in the school. So my approach to that was to volunteer in the school and to be there all the time so that my child wasn't an easy target. That was the way I thought of it. I don't want my child to be an easy target for somebody. And if they think I could be coming around the corner at any time because I'm in the school, all the time, they're not going to target my children. Not that I want them to target any children, but I was being that mama bear protector. Like, I'm going to be here around
You
every
can't get
corner.
near them.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, you brought that up for me. Like, that was my experience. It wasn't when they were infants. I mean, I held them and I had them all the time. And I guess I was doing that mama bear protection because I just had them all the time with me. Um, but yeah, that's when it came out as like, oh my goodness, I can't keep them safe. What's going to happen now? But the experience has been wonderful. I mean, like I said, um, I learned so much. They learned so much in their years at school, even through all of the stuff that I thought was unsafe. And then, making the choice to bring them home with me, and now them going back to school and having so many skills, like being able to see how they've grown and how they are able to care for themselves and manage conflicts. I know I've talked about in previous videos about Stephen and conflict management, and he loves that. He loves conflict management. I have to remind him sometimes it's not always his conflict.
Right. It's an important reminder.
Yeah. So, and I guess with the mama bear, it's not always our conflict, right? We need to step out of the way
Yes.
sometimes too. It's their conflict.
So something that dropped in too is, in this mentality, if we're in that polarity of mama bear, in this negative polarity, right? This aggressive, ferocious mentality, we put out, remember, we're always putting out energy. There's an output in our frequency. And if you think about it, when you are in that, you're putting out vibes of mistrust, right?
Mm,
And so, like, there might not be any harm coming at your child right now. You know what I mean? But you're putting out vibes of mistrust. So guess what you're going to get in your experience? Untrustworthy people. You're going to attract that kind of person that you can mistrust because you're creating mistrust.
you're blowing my mind for a minute here because
Yeah, it's absolutely true. That's what happened.
It's so
Yeah.
true. And you're bringing me back again to those school days where
Right.
my children generally were not the ones having the problems, it was their friends.
Right.
And it started with Steven noticing his friends and wanting to help his friends, and it wasn't necessarily his conflict, but he wanted to protect his friends. And then, it wasn't necessarily my
Your
child's
conflict.
conflict, but I wanted to protect all the children. So yeah, I love that you brought that up.
That's interesting.
So yeah, I was bringing it more and more into my experience
Right.
Yeah.
because
And so
that's what
there
I
are
was
more and more
noticing.
people to mistrust. So more and
Yeah.
more need
Yeah.
for mama bear to come out. Do you see how it can become an addiction too,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah, an
there. This
addiction.
is,
And
go on.
go ahead, finish off.
I was just going to say it serves, sometimes it serves the ego. It serves a part of us that needs some validation or needs an identity to hold on to. And being the mama bear can sometimes serve that. And it actually isn't serving us though, right? In the bigger picture. What were you going to
Yeah.
say, Natalie?
Yeah. I was going to say, just going off of your train of thought of, the more you're mistrusting everyone, the more untrustworthy people are going to come into your experience, so, which is why it's so important, pardon me, to not believe our thoughts, right? But
Yes.
these are just thoughts that come up. It's not an actual thing. It's not like, there's an axe murderer prowling around or something. It's just
A
you are
thought.
worried about something, but just that worry is just a thought. It's like kind of like a cloud or something. That's how like Eckhart Tolle explains thoughts.
Yeah.
It's an entity. It's an invisible being, but it's not you and it's not real. So the more conscious you become and the more you can like just see a thought and be like, it's just a thought, it's not me. Even if it's really loud, be like, you know what, it's not me though. Someone cranked up the speaker in your head. I don't know, but it's not you. And
Yeah.
the more you constantly repeat that to yourself, the more you're going to believe it. And then that's when you create more space where you're actually just looking at the thought and you're like, and you don't see it as good or bad. You're just like, oh, it's just a thought, right?
And
Like
you
it's
let
just
it
a
go.
cloud. Like it's not, yeah, you don't have to label anything. We don't even have to label our thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Again, that just proves we are the ones who have all the power. We choose whether we give power to that thought or not, whether we
Yes.
let it go. And I think it was Angie, I think it was you who first introduced me to the idea of thoughts moving as clouds,
Moving away. Yeah.
allowing them to just move through
You
as a
just sit
cloud.
back. Yeah. You sit back and notice it. Oh, okay. I see it. I see it. I see this entity. I see this thought. But I don't want to grab onto it.
Right. I don't need to think about it any longer. I don't need to give it meaning, like you were saying, Natalie. Just allow it to be and allow it to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it will go if you let it. And more will come in.
And
More will leave, more will come in.
right, and I'm a big advocate for choosing the thoughts we want and then sticking
Yes.
to those affirmations, positive affirmations. Sometimes, like Natalie said, those thoughts can be so loud that we don't necessarily want to hang on to, that it's hard and challenging to let them go. But if we are able to start replacing those with thoughts that we do want, they will be silenced eventually, and
Yes.
our brain will reprogram itself to automatically go to the new thoughts that we are choosing, that we do want.
Yeah, we have so much power. It always comes down to this, right, guys? Like we have so much power, and we don't realize we've given our power away even to thoughts. Like it's not just people we give our power away to. We hear that more in the collective, especially with what's going on in the world. We've given our power away as women. We've given our power away, but we give it away constantly to energy, to thoughts. Thoughts are energy.
Mm-hmm.
We give
Oh,
power to thoughts. But I love what Natalie's saying. Like this is a really important reminder is that a thought's not real. It's something that is not us. It's not real. And so there's a choice when we choose to grab it and label it and take it and bring it and call it us. That's a choice that we've made. It's a power we've given away.
And we
Um,
often do it unconsciously, which is
Yes.
why we have these conscious
yeah,
conversations, because we
Yes.
want to be conscious in as many now moments as possible so that we can choose. And that is
Yes.
exactly how we take our power back.
Yes. And we improve our situations, we improve our experiences.
Hmm. All
Well,
these programs. So,
this was such a great conversation. Thanks for
ah,
bringing this one, Natalie. This was
yeah, it was
great.
fun.
Yeah,
And
yes,
this
so
was
many
thanks.
like
super fun.
awesome points came up. It was wonderful. Thank you
Yeah.
guys.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
And the conversation lives on, guys. So, like, no matter when you're watching this, right? Comment, share with us your own experiences. We would love to hear from you. And, no experience is invalid, right? No opinion is invalid here. So, we learn from everyone. All right. Well, I'm going to send out my love to everybody, and we'll see you again for episode 8.
Yes. And if you
Bye,
want more
guys.
information about us, where to
Oh,
find us, look in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And you can
yes.
do the little bell notification so you don't miss any videos. And we love
And
you all.
we premiere every third, oh, no, not Thursday. Sorry, we premiere every Tuesday at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time.
And
Um,
one or more of us will be there to chat live if you want to chat live.
that's right.
And I would
And
love to hear your experience with Mama Bear too. Anytime
Yeah.
you're watching.
yeah. All right. Thank you. I love you.
Love you. Bye.